Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Awareness Hour
Two
with
planes
Kathleen.
that crashed into the World
It's
Trade
nice to
Center
be
in
back.
an
I've been
apparent
gone
terrorist
for a
attack
couple weeks
on the country. We have reported that one of the planes was an American Airlines 767 that had been hijacked.
Lethbridge Soup Kitchen here joining me. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's nice to have you with us. Awareness Hour is about bringing awareness to the community for what is out there for us and how we can help. Because together we can build a stronger community by raising awareness and spreading awareness. So, Bill does that.
Hey! Really? What the hell, man?
Relax, bro. You know how much traffic is right now.
Traffic? We're freezing our asses out here all goddamn night. Why don't you jump your ass in this river, stop at Starbucks?
And we can only do
Where's my
that
latte?
with the help of
8:30.
many
What
people. And I think
You
I've
guys
said this
don't know?
before,
No,
but we have
we're
about
ripping, man.
650 many commitments. Without people like that and those many churches and individuals that provide us with the funds and the food that is given
part of a
to us
drill?
by the grocery stores, it is really a
drill.
team effort. And it's because of that involvement of various different people in many different ways is we can do what we do.
That's right. It's the community coming together.
Absolutely it is, yes.
So the soup kitchen is located where in Lethbridge?
We're on the north side of town. Our address is 802 Avenue North. A lot of people know where the shelter is, and we're in the same building. It's a
not my
long,
job to know
narrow
where. That's your
building
job.
owned by the city of Lethbridge.
All we are is
allow
ready.
us to use it.
Quit
at
wasting time
no
talking
charge,
to me
which is
then.
great. We
Why are you here? Out of
not
uniform
really
with that fur on your
renters, but,
face? Didn't you get back from
we
Kuwait like 3
operate
weeks
out
ago?
of that building.
Sir,
So we're on the
apologies,
north side of
technical
town,
ops on leave.
over
Well,
Stafford,
if you're here today,
on Stafford,
leave is
over
over.
Highway 3.
Take a look around, Captain.
And
We're a
very
little
close
busy.
to Save on Food. So in that
What do you want?
I'm
And
back on my
so-
team, sir.
What does
You
the
don't
soup
have a
kitchen
team.
offer
You've been
daily
rotated to my
How
staff.
do you-
At your
how
request,
are
by
you
the way.
helping
That was
the
before.
community?
Right before you guys were flying fucking planes
We
and buildings.
offer
Well,
both
you're
a
warrant
early
officer.
morning meal. The breakfast is served at 7:15, and then we do the noon meal served at 12 till 1. And so that provides a pretty decent amount of sustenance, I guess you could say, to people. And people often ask what we provide, and we offer what we have, but we have a lot. We are blessed to receive sometimes more than we can handle, so we share it a little further with other people.
How's
we
that look like?
we have an arrangement with the local food banks called a food share program, and so
Okay.
some of we get about $65,000 worth of food in every month, and some of that comes from the food banks, and some goes back. We've recently started providing some additional food items to low-income seniors, and we've all heard that. Sadly, in our country, there are seniors that have to decide between buying food and buying medication, which is just so wrong.
It's just so wrong.
So we have several low-income seniors high-rise units in our city, and so we have been providing them with food that more than we can handle. We don't say that too loud because we will continue to take as much as we
Well,
can.
it's
and share
it's
it.
more than maybe you can handle that month, certain months, but
Yep.
you are actually handling it because you're finding other places to give back to also. So
Yeah, so that's what we do. We have the morning meal, the breakfast, and again, the breakfast is probably a little more substantial than you would have at home. At least I know than I would have. And our meals are well prepared by dedicated people, very good cooks. A lot of our noon hour volunteers are older, and so they have a lot of experience cooking.
Right.
Much more than I, even though I'm older. I don't necessarily
Again,
have the
homemade
experience.
soups
Oh,
and
yeah.
stuff like that.
Really good food. So we do our best to provide a well-balanced meal. We have set up our environment in our dining room to make it really homey. You know, put pictures on the walls. We have repainted everything, put in nicer lighting. We're just now in the process of replacing our older style picnic tables with round white tables like this.
Yeah.
The whole idea is that I've always felt that you need to do whatever you can to restore the dignity of people. There's very little dignity in when you're on the wrong side, if I can put it that way, of a soup kitchen line. You're on the wrong side of the counter. there's very little dignity. So we do our best to enhance the dignity. The interesting thing I've found since I've been there for now just over 2 years is that we've made it maybe a bit too comfortable. People don't want to leave. They would rather stay. And so our security people have to kind of usher people out because, for example, breakfast, they need to be out by 8 o'clock because the next crew comes in at 8:30, 9, whatever, and we need to be all cleaned up and ready for the next crew to make the noon meal. So again, we do what we can to provide a good quality, wholesome meal, but then also respect people for who they are. And that's really what we try to do.
Yeah.
You know.
When you build up their a little bit of their morale and how they're feeling about themselves, that's the only way that they would be willing or
Yes.
able to do better for
That is
themselves.
so true.
Right? Without that.
And somebody that accepts them for who they are.
That's
I
right.
mean, we know they're only there because they have a lot of issues. Although we do have some people that are older, like seniors who are living on their own, who just find it good to come and interact with their friends, people that they've got to know. So it's not only our homeless neighbors, but it's also some others who, have come upon hard times or are alone
Yes.
and they don't like to cook or they can't really afford to, so they come. And we have no way, or we don't request any means test, or you don't have to give us your information. If you come to eat, we will provide a
come
meal for
hungry,
you.
we will
Absolutely.
feed
And you leave not hungry.
That's right.
You'll be filled and we have no limit on the amount of times. We have some that'll come back 3 or 4 times and fill their plate, especially in the morning when we do oatmeal, which is almost daily. They'll just load up, and of course
Yeah.
we know from our growing up that oatmeal was a good, wholesome meal to start your day with. So
Yeah,
we do that.
and that start of a day with a good meal and just a little happy face on the other side can change how they
Absolutely.
perceive that day, how they're going to take
Yeah.
on that day, right?
Well, it's like-
just for anybody, anyways, just in life on its own.
Yes.
Having somebody give you a positive viewpoint in the beginning of your day can change your whole perspective.
Absolutely. And like we say, that we were all taught that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And I think if you have breakfast with people that are there because they want to be, they are concerned about the individual, they make eye contact with them, they welcome them, ask how their day has been, and you get to know people. I mean, I know of our up to 100 guests some days, probably average is 85 to 100, I will know most of their names or faces, especially faces. And so you get to know them, and you when you see somebody that's been injured or has a black eye, you'll ask gently what happened, those kinds of things. And not that you want to pry into their lives, but we show that we are
Just show
concerned.
them that there's some empathy here and that somebody does care what's up.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, I think that's really important for everybody.
So tell me about the tables, because that sounds so, to me, that's so exciting that who thought of this? Who thought of the tables?
Well, I guess I've been accused of coming up with a few ideas. You could ask my wife that. There's a few things
I
that,
would love to meet
and
your wife.
I'm one of those people that I'm an eternal optimist, I think, at least I feel
Okay.
that way, but I'm also a realist. I know that you can have all these great ideas, but somehow you've got to put together the money for them. So we thought, okay, now what should we do? We've got several donors that have come up to us and said, what could we do?
How
Could
can
we
we
help
help?
you? Well, in this particular case, I had applied for a grant, and I want to give a shout out to the folks at United Way. They're
Yes.
great. The Community Foundation is wonderful. They provide so many much needed dollars for organizations like ours. So we
Yes.
had received this grant, and I had applied for a grant for tables and chairs. We didn't get quite the grant we had hoped for because the United Way, I guess, the funding is down a bit, so we didn't get as much as we wanted. So I needed about 7,000 or so for the all the tables and chairs to be replaced. We have we'll have 100 chairs and 12 or 14 tables, and so I realized that at the last minute that I couldn't really utilize. I should back up a little bit. One of our donors said, "So what would it cost for you to do these tables and chairs?" And I said, "About 7,500, something like that." And he said, "Oh, well, how much do you have?" And I said, "Well, I have 2,000 from a grant." And so he said, "Well, do you need the rest?" I said, "Yeah." So he gave me a check for $5,000.
Ooh,
Just like,
nice.
oh. So I thought, well, this is good. Well, that next day I realized that I can't use the 2,000 for furniture. It's got to be for buying food, for breakfast.
Okay.
So I thought, what am I going to
There's
do?
always these little
Oh,
legalities.
there are, and you
everywhere look,
learn to expect them.
Yeah.
And you just kind of go with the flow. And so I
For
thought,
sure.
okay, I need to do something. So I thought, why don't I put the word out there that if somebody wants to sponsor a table and chairs, so it's I came up with a number of 578, but 600 is a good round number. So I put it on Facebook, I said, anybody interested in, people often ask, what can I do? Well, you could sponsor a table. Do you know that in less than 48 hours,
Yes,
I
do
had
know.
all of those tables sponsored. People came out, and some had 2 tables. They said, well, I'd like to do this in memory of this person who recently passed away. This is the church. Our group comes all the time, and we want to do this. And families came and said, we want to do it. So it just went like, poof.
Right, because I saw it on Facebook and I reached out to you and said, oh, you should come onto the show and
Yes,
talk about how you're
right.
trying to get some
Yes,
tables.
yes.
2 days later, well, their
Gone.
tables were gone, but we always have something to talk about.
Well, now I had the issue of this person
Yes.
who gave us the $5,000. And I said, I got a bit of a confession to make. I double dipped here. I went out and got money for the table, and you already paid for them. He said, oh, it's not a problem. He said, what else do you need? I said, well, we need a storage shed. Well, I'll change my check line saying designated for storage shed. So he did that. So that was fine. So then you start thinking, okay, there was such a response. I thought to myself, what else could we do? So then I came up with this idea. Well, one of our staff suggested it. Sponsor a meal. It costs about $100. Basically, our food is free. We have some wages to pay, of course, and we have lights and heat and so on. But I came up with the actual cost for us would be about $100 a meal. So I've put that out there. Now, it's just been out a little bit, and I haven't had the same kind of response as for buying the tables and chairs. Because one of the things that you'll find in organizations such as ours, it's a lot more exciting to fund something that you can actually go, oh,
I know.
our family paid for that. And I'll put their name on it, in memory of, or this set made available through the generosity of you or that person.
Yes.
But if it's for operations, it's a little different. So people have this tendency to think that if you're putting money into a administration,
might not be.
it's a bottomless pit. You just you don't see anything. I mean, you need it. So some of our board members have been a little bit concerned because the money comes very easily when you designate it, but not so easily when you need it for general operation. So we thought, well, we'll try this sponsoring a meal. So it hasn't taken off yet, but it's a bit new. So we're only asking a mere $100. You say it quickly, it's really not a lot.
$100 is not
Yeah.
a lot. And one thing, just when you were saying that, I'd like to put out there, if anybody's watching this and you're thinking about that $100 to donate a meal, and you're unsure, just like you say, maybe you'd like a tangible thing to pick up, that you donated to, but imagine if you got your family, your children involved in donating that $100 and they knew that $100 was feeding people. Right there, you've really started a legacy in your family.
Absolutely.
You've started something different. You've shown them a different way of being and how to help in your community, how to grow it stronger. I see on the Interfaith Food Bank, there's some young kids who actually do tomato gardens, they do lemonade stands, they give their birthday money. These are all real things. Maybe it would be good to try to get our kids more involved in and showing them that we can do this, or just not eating out that night. You know what, guys, we're not going to have pizza tonight.
Yeah.
We're going to take that $100 and on Monday, instead of going out this week, we're going to bring it to Bill at the soup kitchen and we're going to donate it to people to eat.
I should just quickly interject. After this interview, I'm heading over to the soup kitchen. I had a phone call from a woman by the name of Michelle. Her daughter is 6 years old, and she had a birthday party in the park.
Yes.
And she raised money. I don't know how much. So I'm meeting her at 7:15. And this was her own idea, the 6-year-old.
I love it.
I said, so was this with Mom's help? She said, no. She wanted to do this. So we're meeting at 7:15. She's going to hand over the money, whatever she collected from her birthday party in the park. 6 years old. To me, that's amazing.
That's
So
absolutely amazing.
I'll put the picture up and on Facebook, and we won't identify her, but whatever her first name is, just do that. So we've had other people do that, and that to me makes me feel even better than adults. And I'm not knocking adults giving, because we need that. Without giving, we wouldn't operate. We operate without government funding.
Yes.
We don't receive
That's
any.
important that you tell people that.
Well,
yeah,
it's
there's
important
no
to-
government funding
None.
there to feed our people in our community who need to be fed. So
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
is our responsibility.
And we've done it for 35 years, and we will continue
Yes.
for another 35 probably. My dream would be that we didn't need to do it, but
Yes.
that's not going to happen. I mean, we do have people that are highly addicted, people that have just a multitude of issues that we can't even begin to imagine, and they need us, and we will be there, and so
That's
we'll
right.
continue. And sometimes we need help, and this $100 a meal, it's not a huge thing for the person who's making the donation, but it's a huge thing for us. And what we'll do is that we'll say, when people start responding to this, we'll say, this meal sponsored by, or provided by, you know, this person or that person, or, you know, I just think that way our guests get to see, or our volunteers see that. And it's not all about blowing someone's horn, but I think when people do give, and we do receive a lot of, June, July, and August are slow months for us.
Yes.
Summer. People, so you have to become a bit more creative in terms of your dollars and cents, where they come from, because the churches generally, people are away on vacation.
Yes.
We just got one of our local churches sent us, I think, $1,100 to $1,200, a little fundraiser they had at the end of June. So I mean, those things happen to it, and that's great. We love to see that, but it's not all about money. It's about helping people.
Yeah,
somehow.
it is.
How can you step up and make a difference in somebody's life? Like I said earlier, you know, before we went on air, before we went live, I should say, not everyone can do everything, but everybody can do something.
Yeah.
And $100 really is not a very big thing. You know, for the poor it is, but for most of us,
It
$100
isn't. It's an evening out.
You don't really miss
It's
it.
literally you went and had dinner that evening instead of cooking when you already had the food in your fridge anyways.
Yeah, because
So it's actually very easy to give $100.
yeah, and so that's what we have going right
That's
now.
amazing.
And I'm hesitant to have too many things going, because I don't want to be left. I don't want to leave the impression that we're constantly out there. What can we do? What can we drag in? Who else can we get involved? But I see things more in terms of not really asking, and in this case we're kind of asking, but to provide an opportunity.
That's right.
Here's an opportunity for you to become involved. It's easy. We will give you a charitable receipt. We will recognize you on social media if you wish. We don't need to. If you would rather we didn't, we'll give you a receipt that you can use for income tax purposes. We will acknowledge you and thank you. If we can do it personally, that's even better. It's nice to shake a hand and
Yes,
get to
that's
know
right.
who our donors are. And we're really blessed. And some of our people in our community are not so blessed.
Yep.
They're in rough shape, and we will do our best to help them.
And the community you're living in, it really is all of the issues a societal problem. We can
Yes.
always just look at it and say it's this person's problem or it's their problem, or look at them. But at the end of this day, this is our community, this is our society, and we are all part of this group.
Absolutely. I've
So
recently
we
started.
really need that.
Sorry, recently started using the term homeless neighbors, because they
Yes.
are our neighbors. Now, it's not a
love
term
that.
that I coined, but I heard it out of the mustard seed in Calgary. They use the term homeless neighbors, and that's really who they are. They live right next to us. We sometimes joke within our family that I know more homeless people than I know people with homes, which is probably true, and I wish we could change that.
Yes, I do.
Our
too.
city still doesn't have adequate housing. We don't have adequate detox centers, although we're in the midst of building one very soon, an intox and detox
Hopefully.
next to us. Well, it will happen. It was, money was put in place before the
Oh,
election.
good.
And
Okay.
it was solidified. We just ran into some issues of cost.
Okay.
So we're dealing with that, but it'll come. So we will have detox beds. You know, many people I meet do not want to be in this lifestyle.
No,
They'd
they don't.
much rather do something different. There's always those that'll say, well, it's their fault. Well, we all take responsibility for something in our lives. But there are circumstances, like, for example, if you are born with fetal alcohol syndrome, I'm not sure how you're going to blame the individual.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And the other thing we know about that is that a person that deals with fetal alcohol syndrome, spectrum, whatever it's called now, never reached the, older than the mental age of about 8 or 10 years old.
That's right.
So what if you're 60 years old and you're making decisions as an 8-year-old? That's not going to go well.
No.
And that's what we deal with as well. So we see that.
Yeah, it is bigger than just these people are on drugs and
Yep.
they don't want to get help. And I know it's easier just to
Absolutely.
hand it out as that's what's going on, but
Yep.
if you really stop and look at it, I think it's easy to tell that's not, it's deeper than that, it's bigger than that, and it is our
Absolutely.
problem.
Well, you can blame the victim. It's very easy to blame the victim.
Yeah, it always
Like,
is.
it's their fault. They should never have done that. And partially people are right. They made a decision at one point that they were either going to do alcohol, drugs, or whatever, and it got out of hand for whatever reason, or they just got so discouraged with life and so hopeless with life that they just, well, whatever. I may as well just drink
Yeah.
myself into oblivion. And that happens, sadly.
Yeah,
But we can do our part and help them with that.
yeah, we can do our part always in the community to help out, so.
Yeah, lots of opportunities.
I just love that we are a community that helps out.
Yes, very
Here
much
we
so.
are saying, help out, you can help out in your community, it's good to be that, but let's also remember that Lethbridge is that, so we can be proud and we can push even harder and
Yes.
further to be even better,
Yeah.
because if you have this many volunteers a month, or you're asking for tables and in 2 days
Yeah.
it's done,
Boom,
then we
just
can
like that.
say we are strong. Lethbridge is strong.
Yeah.
So we can just be stronger and stronger by the minute.
If people
we
know,
want.
again, if people know the opportunity, people will step up.
Mhm.
Like, I'm amazed, I'm humbled by people, how they'll just step up and say, well, I can do that, I'm willing. And we do have a community of very caring individuals, people that
Yes.
really want to make a difference. And we don't know how to solve this problem. Like, I don't know how to solve the drug problem. Our city our elected officials don't know how to solve the problem. The Ministry of Health and Social Services don't know. The experts don't know.
Yeah.
So who should really fix this problem? I don't know. I think it starts one person at a time.
That's right.
And I think if we accept people for who they are and try to be less judgmental of people, because, I sometimes say, only by the grace of God am I not where they are.
That's right.
And it doesn't take a lot.
No, I did counseling for a year when I ended up with went through like a PTSD from trauma as a child, and
Right.
the counselor said to me, she said, I was always feeling like I wasn't enough, look at me.
Right.
And she said, you do realize, Kathleen, that these two chairs could change at any moment,
Absolutely.
and
Yep.
to think differently is not good. And it was at that real moment I was, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I don't have to be
Yeah,
where I am, but
absolutely.
it took someone to care enough to show me that support and really that love
Yes. Yeah.
for me
That's
to
what
be
it is.
able to be willing to change and be who I am
Yeah.
today, because I sure wasn't this person.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
2 years ago, I wasn't this person.
And I always look at it's also unconditional love. We accept
Yes,
people
it
for
is.
who they are. We don't have to agree with the lifestyle. We don't have to condone it. We don't have to necessarily accept it. But we can accept people who they are. They're still a person.
Yeah.
They're a person with a major problem. They're not a major problem.
You don't have to like what they're doing, but you
Absolutely
can still
not.
love them
Yep.
as fellow citizens, fellow people
accept
in
them.
your community.
Yeah. Yeah, and as I said earlier, it starts with eye contact with people. Literally does. I tell our volunteers that are new ones especially, the first step towards working with people as a volunteer, serving, make eye contact. Like not this kind of eye contact, but,
No, but
eye
like,
contact. Like
I'm
look at
here.
them. Absolutely. And look at them as a person. Because with eye contact, for that fleeting moment, you are the same as the next person. There's nothing different. It doesn't matter if you're highly educated or you're uneducated. For that moment, when you look in each other's eyes for the first time, you are equal. And I think if we can focus on that and expand upon that feeling of you're all the same. We're all
Yes.
on this earth for a purpose. Some of us maybe have found what it is, and some are still looking. And
Yeah.
others are floundering. They're just in bad shape. And we will step up and do what we can. And just, this is not really an announcement, but we are very close to coming up with an agreement to start serving the evening meal as well. So that's coming.
That's
We've talked
awesome.
about it for a while. There's some issues within the building that have to be sorted out, but I expect by late fall we will be serving a third meal a day.
Oh, see, so they're going to need
So-
more help, guys.
Yes. So,
Yeah,
since-
so there's always ways to support the soup kitchen. I know from my own being in there, going there, that
As a
it's
volunteer.
simple. All you have to do is make the phone call. They'll set you up to come and support them in any way that you may feel that needs to be. Like, if
Yeah.
you can give your time, then your time will be needed. If it's money you can give, your money will be needed. If it's maybe supplies, or I know a lot of people will be harvesting their gardens.
Yes.
Potatoes, cucumbers, onions, things like that. Sometimes you end up with so many. That's another thing that you can help out with,
Absolutely.
or if you love canning, things like that, right?
Yeah, we're happy to accept any food like that.
Anything like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
reach out to them and start funding a meal or giving your time. And
Yeah, and as you say, there's so many ways.
There is.
It's not just, well, if I don't have money, I can't do this. Oh, you can. People will drop off, a small bag of goodies that they have extra in the fridge or whatever, and as long as we know it's good. We are somewhat concerned about dates on cans, but not to the extent that others might be.
Right.
The
you
best,
don't want it extremely
not 5 years
over,
old.
but
but a month or two after
A
the
logical.
date, when a can is sealed, there's not what's going to happen. So, and I'm
Just
certainly
best before
yeah,
dates,
and I'm not
guys.
encouraging people to empty out the back of their cupboards and give us all the old stuff. That's
No.
not it. Because people feel best when they give the best.
Yes.
So you're not scraping the bottom of the barrel to give a little bit to the soup kitchen.
Yeah.
You're giving off like the first fruits, the best of what you have.
Of course.
But we accept
And
whatever
that's how
bring.
you get rewarded.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter what you believe in this life. I'm not speaking any kind of faith or anything. I'm simply speaking of if you do good
Yep.
or you push out good, it does just come back to you though. And if you've ever been part of that,
Yeah.
you'll know it's true. There's something about it.
Well, and we see it in terms of things you do will. Well, let me back up a little bit.
Mhm.
That obedience, and for me, that's obedience to Him, right?
Yes, of course.
Results in a blessing,
Mhm.
without a doubt, guaranteed. You will be blessed. Now, how? I don't know.
But
Be
some way.
prepared. Be prepared. It may be that you've made a new friend. It may be that you have joy, greater joy in your life. Or the idea, if you respond to an invitation and you're obedient, man, oh man, it comes back to you in spades.
Yeah, it comes back to you fold.
Yeah,
Full
it
fold.
does.
And it's exciting. So
It is.
another thing is that came to mind is if you're a group of any kind and you're looking for something to fundraise for because you're unsure and you just want to help out, that's another thing you can do is fundraise for the soup kitchen. It takes groups and organizations
Yes.
or just plain companies. Companies can jump up and do a fundraiser. If you're a big company, you have a lot of people working for you, imagine doing a lunch fundraiser, but your money goes to the soup kitchen. It would bring great morale to your work community and be good for just overall people
Well,
to notice that you're part of the community, that you want to
absolutely.
make things better.
And we've had that happen. There are times when we're out of certain things. For example, one of the things that we often need is things like, I'm trying to think of the right term, tomato sauce, pasta sauce,
yeah, all
pasta
that
pasta.
kinda-
And so sometimes we're out of that, and we don't, if we buy it, then we're spending the money that we might need for something else. So I'll put the word out occasionally and say, we need this. Well, it's amazing. People will it'll flood in. So there's times we need certain things. One thing we're often short of is coffee.
That's
Coffee's
what you were
expensive.
saying, yeah.
But having said that, today the fine folks at Cuppers brought us a box
They're
with about
amazing.
6 bags of ground coffee, but this big, and just like, oh, there it is. And I'm
'Cause
actually
the need was filled because
before we even
you're
asked
pushing out
about
the
it,
positive,
we just sort of hint at it once in a while. And I had a conversation with one of the new franchise holders at Tim Hortons. We're talking about that we should have kind of these machines where you have a double. They push the button, and then that much cream comes out. So they've got machines they don't use. So we had a conversation today. So we might end up with those.
Right.
That we don't have to spoon it all in. And when I do the spooning, which I try to help out when I can, it's a terrible mess. I have cream and sugar everywhere because you're
Right.
putting it in a hurry, and this way you just press the button. So
Yeah.
I think we're going to get those. So there's just people step up and they know. They've got to know what we need, and so we're not the only organization in the city. That's really
Yes.
important for me to say that. Like, don't channel all your resources. I mean, it's fine if you send it all to us. That's not true.
Yeah, but there are other places.
There are other very good, and maybe there's something that hits your heart more than the soup kitchen does. That's fine.
Yeah.
But just
It is what you feel, because you can always give to something that's close to your heart also.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
Woods Homes, I'm
Yes.
just going to say to them too, because they feed the children that don't have food, hey? So
yeah, that's true.
if you're ever wondering where the children are eating, a lot of the times they're not at the soup kitchen.
Yeah.
They're not at the Streets Alive.
Right. Yeah.
They're at
Yeah.
Woods Homes and the YWCA. So
Yeah.
just saying, those are really important places to always remember that we need to feed them too.
We're not the only ones. There are others
Yeah.
that are doing it, and they deserve to have your support as well. And so I guess what I'd want to say is that
Yeah.
just find something that really hits your heart or makes you feel like I could do that,
Mhm.
and we would be more than willing to accept your gift with thanks. And again, we'll provide you with a tax deductible receipt for it, and we'll acknowledge you as to the extent you wish to be. So, yeah,
And you
there's
helped
opportunities.
feed someone.
Yes.
I just don't know. That's got to be one of the greatest
Awfully good
feelings.
feeling.
You
Yeah.
fed someone. So,
Because of me, someone's not going hungry
That's
today.
right.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so true.
It is. It's a hard thing to think about that. Sometimes I stop and I'm like, oh, there's people who aren't eating.
Yeah.
And then I just
We're sleeping outside.
I just don't think about it anymore because I'm so overcome with that
Yeah. Yeah.
almost guilt,
Yeah.
if you want to know the truth. It's like a guilty feeling, like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I'm going to go eat, my delicious tacos here when I leave here. And it's weird. It is very strange. So
Well,
every time you give back a bit, it can take away that feeling a bit.
Yes.
Like, you know what? I
Does that.
helped.
Yeah.
I helped.
I've done my small part.
And every act of kindness matters.
Absolutely.
It's
it
like
does.
on Awareness Hour, if you're part of Awareness Hour on Facebook, which I hope you are, and if you're not, you can just give me a good like on there.
Yeah.
But Awareness Hour on Facebook, I always say, together we can make a difference.
And we are.
And it's because I really believe that. I really do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes through in just in who you are as well.
Thank you.
That it does make a difference, and we can together. We're not going to solve the problems on
No.
our own, but we can make life a little easier along the way, and
Mhm.
that's what we try to do, and we'll continue to do as much as we can.
Awesome. Well, I think that we gave them a lot to think about, hey?
I think so.
Hopefully you get some calls this week for that supported
Yeah.
meal.
Do you need a number? Or do
Yeah,
you
I
have a
do.
number?
You shoot out that
okay.
number right
Well, that
now.
number is 403-320-8688, or if you prefer email, it's just lethbridgesoupkitchen@gmail.com.
Right,
And
and
so both of
I know
those.
that we're in an internet age where Facebook's an easy way to go.
Can do that
So
too.
if you are just, on Facebook, you can just hit them up with a message, and
Yeah.
they always answer.
Yeah, we're the Lethbridge Soup Kitchen.
That's right,
I'll
the
come
Lethbridge Soup
Yep.
Kitchen. If you just put Soup Kitchen, sometimes you're not finding it.
Yeah, and we will respond.
Right, and if you're lost and you're unsure, how to go about getting a hold of them again, you can always message me, and I always have their number.
Excellent.
So, you guys, let's step out this week. Let's give back to our fellow people. Let's make a stronger Lethbridge together. And thank you, Bill, from the Soup Kitchen.
You're very welcome.
Together we can make a difference.
Yeah, my pleasure to be here.
I just want to say I'm gone next week again because I get to go on another vacation. My man's taking me on a bike in BC, so I'm pretty excited. When I get back, I have something close to my heart to talk about, and it's called Marianne's Children's Home. It's in Africa, and it's a home that I help support through a church that I'm part of called Lindburn Christian Fellowship. And we are supporting children in Africa. So I really want to talk about that when I get back. See if it's something you're interested in, and helping some other people eat maybe who aren't in our community. So have a good evening, and thank you.
Enjoy your holiday.
Yes, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah,
Always fun.
it is.
Yeah. There's
Jess FM
lots
is
of
the best.
things. He was constantly so hard that he couldn't respond to you
Mhm.
saying it's best.